So I knew I missed something in the other video. There's a second part to the Sanders clip where Wolf Blitzer is kind of interjecting after Sanders answers the kid in regards to how do you pay for the ambitious policies that you're putting forth. And Sanders essentially basically says, you eat the rich. I mean, ultimately, they're making off handsomely well in the United States in comparison to the rest of the nation. And we have to pay our fair share. They should pay their fair share also. That's his argument. That's his point. A society determines what that society wants to do. And after it determines what it wants to do, based on our particular system, we determine how you're going to pay for it. For the longest time, we've just borrowed money. It's almost as if raising taxes on the rich is this thing that just can't be done. It's almost like an impossibility, and the only thing that you can get is lowering taxes on the rich, despite the level of income inequality getting worse. But you understand that. Why? I mean, ultimately, the reason taxes on the rich continues to get lower because despite which side of the political spectrum you're on, be a Republican or Democrat, the people who are paying you tend to be wealthy. And in those people being wealthy, you can imagine that all of them have a certain policy objective of keep my taxes low or don't budge. Like, don't give an inch, or at the very least, lower my taxes. And Democrat and Republican administrations have essentially attended to that. Obama enshrining the Bush tax cuts, so 80% of the Bush tax cuts. Donald Trump passing a ghastly tax cut. George Bush passing a ghastly tax cut. I mean, this is, come on. And by the way, if Hillary Clinton would have got elected, she would also pass a ghastly tax cut. Again, at a time where income inequality is at its worst. It's at its worst. Take a look at Sanders' answer. Wolf Blitzer, Sanders makes a point of, damn right you tax the rich in order to deal with these things. Wolf Blitzer says, but I mean, wouldn't the rich just kind of try to find ways to get around this? Listen to his answer. Because this is one of those things, part of the reason I love Sanders. It's real to him. It cuts, it grates on his, it's like it grates on his conscience when he's talking about this stuff. And there's an anger that's in him when he's dealing with a situation that's just outrageous. If you're looking at a human being as being important, and you're not allowing this, or looking at this from the lens of a human being subjugated by the dollar itself, or by some kind of monetary system, that the human being is primary, and that the human being is more important than the non-important elements, then you look at that as an outrage. This guy has this imaginary substance of cash this other person doesn't have, and then this person's sleeping on the street between his billions that are sitting in a bank somewhere in this kind of intangible quantum state, as opposed to that guy having somewhere to lay his head, something to eat, a warm meal, a blanket. I pick the person. Just from a moral standpoint, I pick the person. And even I can make the case from a societal standpoint, a social cohesion standpoint, I pick the person. Listen to Sanders' answer in this. I love this answer.
All right. And let me give you, people say, where are you going to get the money? Where are you going to get the money? Amazon, owned by the wealthiest guy in the world, made $5 billion last year in profits. Anyone here know how much they paid in taxes? That's right. That's where we're going to begin getting the money.
But tax experts caution, and you know this, Senator, tax experts caution that the rich will likely look for various ways to avoid paying these taxes. How will you ensure that the wealthy actually go ahead and pay these taxes?
Well, that's what they do right now. Look, we have an economy today that works very well for the 1%. And what these guys do, and we have to deal with this, they stash billions and billions of dollars in profits in the Cayman Islands and other tax havens. And we have veterans sleeping out on the streets, public schools that are falling apart. Got 20% of senior citizens in this country trying to live on $13,500 or less. So we have, when I talk about a political revolution, I know this may sound radical to some people, but we are going to create an economy and a government that works for all of us, not just the 1%. So to answer your question, we are going to do away with those outrageous loopholes that allow large corporations owned by some of the wealthiest people in this country to pay nothing in taxes. We're going to end their ability to put their money in the Cayman Islands under the tax havens.
We have a question from Shadi Nassab, a student at American University.
If the United States government really really was interested in making sure that those tax havens were broken up, do you honestly believe that the United States government couldn't do so? Like, if it put its mind to the task of making sure that people couldn't necessarily shift money from point A to point B like that, or go with this kind of institutionalized fraud of Wall Street, do you believe that the U.S. government could stop them from doing so? I believe, yeah, if they put their mind to it, they probably can. There's no interest necessarily in doing that. And the political leaders have shown zero political courage in dealing with this issue at all. Sanders is a true believer. And in this case, taxing the rich seems as natural can be. And understand what he said. He made this point of, there are real material things that our society needs. Meaning our society being drained of resources to some degree. There's real material things that we need: schools, roads, infrastructure, crumbling bridges, investments into things that allow this country to grow and to prosper. Those things are vital to the growth of the society itself, the propagation of society itself. And as he said, those things cost cash. As opposed to somebody sleeping on the street, as opposed to those roads not being built, as opposed to those bridges not being fixed, as opposed to the things that we need to take place in this country getting done, versus money sitting in somebody's bank because some company paid zero taxes after making billions of dollars using labor, materials, supplies, the wealth, meaning from the standpoint of the human labor of this country, paid no taxes. That should change. That's his point. It will change under Sanders. I'm going to end this. This was somewhat of a screw up. This should have been attached to the last video, so I'm just going to call this part B. And I'm going to go almost directly into the next video. Give me like 2 or 3 minutes, and I'll be right back. Thanks all.